All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you once again for joining us. My name is Tabitha. For those who are joining us for the first time, I am teaching grade 6 maths. So today we are continuing with decimals. Yesterday we had a disconnection just before we completed, or rather, just before we did our activity for yesterday's work. But not to worry, I have a lot of activities today that will make up for yesterday's activity. And I hope that even though I disconnected, that you continued with the work and that you went online to continue with the work and see what was the activity all about. But today still, we do have a lot of activity that we'll be doing. We're still doing decimals and we'll still be rounding off. Okay. Um, so yesterday we were focusing on 10, but also we did round off hundreds. So today we'll focus on hundreds, but there'll be some activities where you see your mix of the tens and the thousands. All right. All right. So who remembers the steps? Who remembers the steps of rounding off? First, you underline. We do have the first step. You underline the digit in the given place. All right. It says here, the rule says round to the nearest hundred. You can write on the chat box your answers. You can write on the chat box. So what is the second step that you do? Remember to switch off your camera, otherwise you will be kicked out of the class. So who remembers the steps? We first said yesterday that you underline the digit that is in the given place. So what is the second step, the third and the fourth step? If you can quickly write that down, because today it's nothing new, we're just continuing with yesterday's work. Anyone who remembers the steps? All right, let's continue and go to the next page. Seeing that no one remembers. Okay, Michael says you look at the hundreds. All right, circle, please see. We thank you so much. The second step is to circle. What number do you circle? The one that is on the right, all right, of the number that you need to round off to. Say, for example, if you're rounding off to the 10, yes, you look to the right. Thank you, Mashodi. If you're rounding off to the 10, all right, and then the number that is in the 10th place is 9, for an example, then you underline 9. You look the number that is on the right, say it is 2, for an example, and then you circle the number 2, right? So what is the third step that we do? What is the third step that we do? Now that we have circled the number that is on the right of the one that we need to round off. So what is the next step? Step number 3, what happens? What is the next step? You round off. Remember, you round off. Here we have 273. The rule says round to the nearest 100. So you underline the digit that is in the given place. So what is the digit that is in the given place here? I think let's work with this number. What is the digit that is in the given place? Yes, look at the circled number and round off. That's the third step. Right, Matlodi, check to see if 1, 2, 3, if it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 to round down, or 5, 6, 7, 8 to round up. That's correct. And the last one, the last step, what's the last step? The last step, what is the last step? So you round off on the last step. You write the correct number, or rather the correct amount. The last step is you round off. Thank you, Shakira. You round off. Thank you. All right, I think we can move on to our next slide. will still be the same exercise. Right now we have 6.378 and we are rounding off to the nearest hundred. So 2 decimal places or 2 dp. 2 dp means 2 decimal places. Now the first step, you underline the digit that is in the given place, right? So here, remember yesterday you said the difference between 100 and 100, right? So in the numbers after the decimal point, there are no ones or there are no units. The first number after the decimal point, we said it is the tenth, and the second one, it is the hundredth. The second number after the decimal point is the hundredth. Hence, you see now the second number being the one that is underlined as the given place, right? And then you circle the third one, all right? So 8 is more than 5, so we add 1 to the hundredth place. We add 1 to the hundredth place, and we'll have 6.38, right? We're rounding up. We round up because 8 is more than 5. As we said, we check if it is more than 5 or less than 5, then we round off, right? So the final answer is you remove everything else that is after that 8, you remove everything else. The only number that you write is 6.38. So that is your rounded number, right? Right. Then again here we have, we have 1.4252. 1.4252. And we are rounding off to the nearest thousand, right? So you underline the digit that is in the given place. So the third number after the decimal point is the one that is represented in the thousands, right? And then you circle the number that is on the right to the number that is underlined, right? It's the same step whether it's the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, or the 10,000s. It is the same steps that you follow, right? So 2 is less than 5, as we can see here. That 2 is circled and 5 here is underlined. So we will round off, or rather round down, and the remaining number will be 1.425, right? 5 will remain 5 because 2 is less than 5. All right. So step 4, you remove all the other numbers. You are left with 1.425. That is your rounded number. Check your connection, please. Make sure you are connected properly because I don't have any issues with my connection. All right. Let us move on to the next slide. Okay. All right, rounding decimal numbers. The number now that we will be rounding off is 6.297 to the nearest hundred. Again, step 1, here's the number that we've underlined. It is 9. Step 2, we circle 7. We check if the number that is circled is less than 5 or more than 5, and then we round off. Step 3, you add the 1 to the rightful place. Now, remember we said when you're adding to 9, the 1 will be added to the number on the left. That's what we said yesterday. It will move to the left. So here we have 6.297, and 7 is over 5, so we have 9 here. So the 1 will be added to the 2, and then you have 6.3 right? This is the number that we're rounding off because we can't write 10. Remember we said we cannot write 10 because it will mean then that we are now lowering the number again to 1 basically. So what we do is when we get to 10, we then add the 1 to the number that is on the left, right? So you'll have 6.30. You see here in the boxes, for example, you add 9 plus 1 equals to 10. Then that 10, we cannot write 10. However, we move to the left and add that 1. We add, it becomes a 1 and we add it to the number on the left. Right, so it's 2 plus 1 then equals to 3. So the rounded off number will be 6.30. All right, let's move on to the next slide. All right, so this is your turn. This is what I need you to write on the chat box for me. All right, so the first one that we're going to do. All right, let's first do the first one. You're rounding the numbers to the place indicated. You are rounding off to the place indicated. All right, the first place that is indicated is the nearest whole number. So when you are rounding off to the nearest whole number, there will be no decimal. After you have rounded off, when you're rounding off to the nearest whole number, you must have no decimal, right? So the second column, nearest tens, nearest tens. Third column, nearest hundreds. Fourth column, nearest thousands. Sorry about that. So can I have the answers? For the first one, you are having on the first column, you must have no decimal because you are rounding off to the nearest whole number. You must have whole number, no decimal. So can we please complete this exercise? The first one, Maduma says it will be 859. All right, that's correct. 859 is correct. Thank you, Matodi and Shakira. All right, now let us move to the second one, the nearest tens. Let us move to the second one. Yes, the answer is 859. The second column, the third and the fourth ones, you should show the full number. There must be a decimal. Write the full number. Because when you're just writing 75, then I won't know which one you're referring to. Oh, I see you guys are completing the first column first. Can we do the row? Can we do it row by row? Can we do it row by row, please? First, we do 859, right to the last column, and then we come to the second one. Can we do it row by row, please? No worries, Jabulo, you'll catch up online. You haven't missed much though. And welcome to class for those who've just come in. Can we do it row by row, please? If we're starting with 859, then we move to the nearest tens, the nearest hundreds, and the nearest thousand. All right, I see people are writing 860. Check the wording, check the wording. We have decimals here. We have a decimal point. So the original number is 859.3073, right? The original number is 859.3073. So we are rounding off to the nearest whole number. We agreed that it is 859 because the first number after the decimal point is 3, which is less than 5. So automatically we're rounding it down. We remain with 859. All right. Okay, Zamila says it's 859.3080. We are rounding off to the nearest tens. We are rounding off to the nearest tens. So when we are rounding off to the nearest tens, remember we said we delete all the other numbers. The third step was to, after we've checked whether the number is more than 5 or less than 5, we round off and we remove all the other numbers, and we are left with the number that we are only rounding off to, right? So if we are rounding off to the nearest 10, remember we said the first digit after the decimal point is the tens. So I'm not expecting to see any other number after that tens, after that first digit. So the correct answer, I think, let me give you the answer. The correct answer should be 859.3. That's the number that we should have there on the nearest 10. 859.3. That's the correct number. So on the third column, you are rounding off to the nearest hundred. And the nearest hundred, we said, remember, it is the second digit. Remove all the other numbers after you have rounded off. Any number that is after the number you're supposed to round to, you remove it. You are left with only the number that you have rounded off to. Can we move now to the hundred? All right, the correct one I see on Tatile says 859.30. Bunche also. All right, the correct one should be 859.31 because 7 is greater than 5. So when you are rounding it off, you will add the 1 to the 0 and it will be 1. When you add anything to a number, the number remains itself. So when you're saying 1 plus 0, it is 1. So your number should be 851.31. That should be the correct one. Then on the last column, the thousand. What is the last one? What is the last one? Can we move to the last one so that we can do the second row? Thank you, Bunche. It is 859.307. That's the correct one. Now let's move to the second one. Let's move to the second one. We have 75.2665. 75.2665. Answer is 75. Yes. The answer is 75. Thank you. Now let's move on. If we see that there's people who wrote the answer that we think it's correct, then we don't all have to write it down. We can just move on to the next column. Because of time, I don't want us to run out of time before we complete this class. So what is the next one? Nearest tens. Nearest tens, 75.2. 75.2. This is 75.2. Anyone else? Or we agreeing? All right, the correct one is 75.3. The correct one is 75.3. I see 75.7, 75.2. The correct one is 75.3. Remember, you are rounding off to the nearest 10. And the number that is on the right of 2 is 6. 6 is bigger than 5. So we add 1 to 2. So it will be 75.3. So let us move on to the nearest 100. To the nearest 100, Thank you so much. Thank you, Zano. 75.27. 75.27. Thank you, Zano. Let us move on to the nearest thousand. To the nearest thousand. To the nearest thousand. We have already answered 75.27. So what is going to be the last one? 75.267. Thank you so much. That's the correct one. We're moving on. We have 4.7781. 4.7781. 4.7781. Correct answer is 5. I see there are people who wrote 4. Always check whether the number is lesser or bigger than 5. Then you can round up if it is bigger than 5. So the nearest whole number will be 5. That's the correct one. What is the nearest 10? Let's move on to the nearest 10. What will be our number? To the nearest 10th, what's the answer? 4.8. Thank you so much, Matlodi and Dumbo. All right, let's move to the third column. 4.8, yes. What's the third column? Let's move on to the third column. 4.78. That's correct. 4.78. The last column. What is the last column? Nearest thousand. The last column. Can we round off that one? Correct. It is 4.778. Right. Now we're moving on to 1.5652. 1.5652. The nearest whole number, 2. Thank you so much. It is 2. And what is the nearest 10th? What is the nearest 10th? 1.6, correct. The nearest 100. The nearest 100. 1.57, correct. 1.57. The nearest 1,000. Let us do the nearest 1,000. 1.566. 1.562. 1.566. 1.565. All right, the correct one is 1.565 because remember 2 is less than 5, so it will be 1.565. That's the correct one. So we're moving on to the last one, the last row. We have 3.0553. The whole number is 3. The whole number is 3. So the nearest 10, what's the nearest 10? 3.1. Thank you, Bonche. 3.1 is the nearest 10. What is the nearest 100? The nearest 100. What's that one? 3.06. That's correct. 3.06. Thank you so much. And the last one. The last one, what would be the last one? Okay, I see 3.056 and 3.055. The correct one is 3.055 because the last digit which we circle, which will be 3, is less than 5. Hence we will have 3.055. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participation. Let us move on to our next slide. Okay, so let's try this one. All right, the first one will be rounding off to the nearest 10. We'll start with A, B, and then C, and D, E, and F. So you write your answer, you say A, and your answer B, your answer C, answer. All right, so let's start with A. We are rounding off to the nearest 10. We are rounding off to the nearest 10. We have 4.381. We have 4.381. That is for A. What is the answer for the nearest 10? 4.4. Thank you, Nubo and Bonche. The answer is 4.4. And for B, 12.9. Tilisiwa says 12.9. Adriel as well. Thank you so much. 12.9. And for C, we have 32.85. 32.9. Thank you, Shakira. 32.9. And D, we're looking at D. D says 44.72. So the correct one is 44.7. Thank you, 44.7. E, we have 15.83. What is the correct answer for that one? We have 15.83. The correct answer is 15.8. Thank you, Bontre and Shakira. We're moving to F. We have 3.065. 3.065. Bonte and Shakira again. It is 3.1. Thank you. The answer is 3.1 for the last one, which is F. I know, Michael, I'm going fast. I'm sorry. I am sorry, but I have to, because we have done this yesterday and we're doing this today. So at least by this time, I know I'm going fast, guys, but at least by this time, I want to keep you up on your toes. You must be able to just look at the number and round off. You are not doing any calculation. You are not dividing. You are not subtracting. You are not multiplying. You are just rounding off. So these are mental calculations where you just look at a number and round off. All right. So we should try and be on our toes, okay, when it comes to rounding off. All right, so the first one, we're rounding off to the nearest 100. We are rounding off to the nearest 100. It is 4.38. That's correct. It is 4.38. And B, it is 1.29. You know, with rounding off, let me just remind you this part. With rounding off, as long as you are able to follow those steps, check the given place, what am I rounding off to? Right? You know, the first digit is the tenth after the decimal point, second is the hundredth, the third is the thousand, and the fourth is the 10,000. So you should at least be able to check the numbers. Okay, it's this one that I'm supposed to round off to. Then what is the number next to it? Circle that one. But you are doing it mentally now. You just look at the number. Okay, you round up or down. Then you are left with your answer. Please do not forget to leave everything else after you have rounded off. Just give the number you have rounded off. All right. So that's how easy decimals should be. I see people are moving fast. Okay, we are on 32.29. That was C, 32.29. And D, yes, B is 1.29. And C was 32.29. And D, 1.72. E, 1.58. Yes. F, F is 3.07. F is 3.07. All right, we'll take it slow with the last one. Okay, we're not going to be as fast as the first and the second one. All right, with this one, with the nearest thousand. With the nearest thousand, we have 16.4474. All right, I already have some answers. I see 16.74, sorry, 16.447, and that's the correct one. 16.447 is the correct answer. You are rounding up only when the number next to it is more than 5. So the second one, 6027. I see that. Right, the correct one is 6.028. That's the correct answer. I'm reading answers from the chat box. All right, C, I see people 0.067. 0.067. That's the correct one. 0.067. And D. Okay, I see someone is asking, ma'am, is it okay if we're a little ahead? Yes, it's okay to be ahead. It's okay. You don't have to feel guilty for being ahead. On D, we are on D, 1,000, 0.4, 0.480, 0.480. And E, 4.689. 4.689. And the last one, 1.115. According to PCU, it's 1.115. Jabulo also agrees, and Chile. All right. Yes, that's the correct one, the last one. All right. I think this is our last one. Okay, no. Let us move on. We round each number to the nearest 10. Round each number to the nearest 10. For A, we have 16.983. For A, we have 16.983. So we are rounding off to the nearest 10. The correct answer is 17 because we are rounding off to the nearest 10. Thank you so much, Shakira Pilisiwe. The correct answer, remember I said you must check the wording, right? You must check the wording. We now rounding off to the nearest 10 and not the 10th. Okay, for B, it is 314.67. For B, 314.67. Rounding off to the nearest 10, 310. Oh, sorry, 315 is the correct one. Because we also do consider the numbers after the decimal point. When we're rounding off, we do consider those numbers that are after the decimal point. For B, we have 314.67. So when you're rounding off that 67, it moves to the left and then it becomes 1 because 6 is greater than 5. So it will be 314 plus 1, then it will be 315. That's the correct one. Actually, it will be 320. My apologies. It will be 320 because we're rounding off to the nearest 10. As I was saying, we consider the numbers after the decimal point. So when we move the 1 beyond the, sorry, to move the 1 to the left and we have 315, because 5 upwards, we round off. So it will be 320. My apologies. My apologies. And the first one is not 17. We round off to the nearest 10. It is 20. The answer is 20. My apologies. The answer is 20. There was someone knocking on my door who was disturbing me. So I do apologize. The first one is 20. The second one, which is B, is 320. Okay. So round each number to the nearest 100. Round each number to the nearest 100. I hope you got that. The first one, when we're rounding off to the nearest 10, is 20, and B is 320. Okay, so now we are rounding off to the nearest 100. The first one, which is C, it is 400. We are rounding off to the nearest 100, it is 400. And for D, we are rounding off to the nearest 100. D, we are rounding off to the nearest 100. And yes, the correct one is 3,900. 3,900 is the correct one. Because the number that we circle here will be 60, and 60 is above 50, so we will move the 8 to 900. So the correct one is 3,900. Now we round each number to the nearest 1,000. Round each number to the nearest 1,000. We have 15,446.9. Round each number to the nearest thousand. You're rounding off to the nearest thousand. To the nearest thousand, not to the nearest 10. So please double check your answers. You're rounding off to the nearest thousand. You are rounding off. Okay, I see people have 15,440. The correct answer, thank you, Matlodi, is 15,000. The correct answer is 15,000. Because we are rounding off to the nearest thousand. And 400 is less than 500. So we will round down and the answer is 15,000. Okay. And for B, we have 7,695.673. Yes, thank you. The answer is 8,000. Always read the instruction carefully. Always read the instruction carefully. It is easy to give an incorrect answer if you're not reading the instructions carefully. All right, that's where people will lose marks. Please make sure you are following the instructions. Okay. All right, this should be your homework. Rounding off to the whole number. Round off to the whole number. Round off to the whole number. This is your homework. This is your homework. I will check it on Monday. Please do take a picture of the homework and screenshot it or send it to my email, which is abongolo@gmail.com. This is your homework. Okay. This will be your homework. We have come to the end of our session. Thank you so much for your participation. Do enjoy your weekend and stay safe and stay home till we meet again on Monday. As I said, you can